careful. There's bees. Be careful, buddy. There's bee. Be careful, bud. Hello and welcome back. My name is Menke and today we are at the bee yard. Yes, that's right. We got some beautiful hives flourishing behind us. Actually, all 4 of our hives here made it through last winter, which is amazing. Previous year, none of our hives did, so we had to start from scratch. We had one hive that didn't make it through the winter. That was our top bar hive. We'll show you that here in just a little bit. We have 4 hives. All the bees are out and about. They're loving life, but our work's not done quite yet. Colonies are still risk of collapsing due to the fact that there's not a plentiful food source for them right now, and potentially the queen could have died any time in the last few weeks. So we got to go in there, make sure that they have the food they need, check for the queen, see if we can't find one in each of the hives, and then we're also going to go and treat for varroa mites. Varroa mites, for those beekeepers out there, I'm sure you're well aware what varroa mites are. For those who don't know, they're the leading cause of death with bees. They're the #1 bee parasite. They're very destructive. They're very hard to deal with if you don't preemptively catch on to them. So we're gonna treat for varroa mites today here early on in the spring to hopefully prevent them from spreading throughout the season. We're gonna open up these hives. We're gonna get some real close-up footage. Hopefully we can find some queens. I just had a bee hit me in the head. Well, we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna get my veil on here and we'll get started.
Lift both of these off.
Does the mouse just go after the honey or does it go after the bees?
Well, if they're inside there, they get in there, they'll go after the dead bees and we'll chew them up, you know. And so this is a whole box full of just sugar honey that I made up. So just in case they ran out of food, and they didn't even get to that at the bottom at all.
So where was the sign of the mouse? On the top of the box?
Yeah. So we just put this in last week. So they are eating it pretty well.
Holy mackerel, yeah. They're hungry.
Yeah, so they're hungry bees. They got sugar, and so what I want to look for is to see if I can see any evidence that the queen is laying. So what I want them to do, they're probably all in this box. There's probably next to nothing in here. So I'll give them a little smoke. Which will make them run down a little bit. Because when you're doing it, I don't want bees looking at me. You know. That's the bee, why are you eyeballing me? So, it also, if you get them out of the way, then you're less likely to smash them. And smashing them, they don't like that very much. So, yeah, that's what the frame looks like. So the back side, as you can see where they put the plastic part in there, and they build the wax on top of it. So this one's in progress. So you can hold it. She's like, yeah.
Can I cut that?
Yeah, certainly. Come on, what do you got going on?
You want to look at them?
So how are those looking, Jerry?
Yeah, this I can't see here. There's a cat brood in this frame, but I don't see.
Is the queen marked in this one, you know?
I don't recall. I think I had all marked queens before.
I think there was one that wasn't.
But I don't see any. I don't see any brood, uncapped brood. And yeah.
So we got the bottom box here.
Yep.
So this
Look
is
at all the bees.
hopefully where the queen will be. We got lots of bees here.
Wait, what is that?
This was put onto as bee medicine. So
Sugar, right?
they have like little bee parasites that mess with them. And so this was put on to get rid of them. And yeah, I think probably 2 for this one. I mean, this came through with tons of bees. I mean, I was shocked there's no queen in here.
I know. Well, look at these all dead.
Yeah, I saw that. Which is kind of strange, really. Except it probably speaks to the fact that the hive was just boiling with bees.
Why you have that on?
When the bees, they come out, start off as little larvae, worms, and then they go into a cocoon like a butterfly does. And then they go from being a worm into being a bee. And so before they come out as a full-grown bee, they shed their body skin several times inside the cells. And so this looks like lots of use by the bees to make bees. And it gets darker over time. Hold on. So there's nothing going on down here by the bees, so I don't see. No. So when you go through winter, about 2/3 of the bees don't come through because they were bees that were there from the summer, and they're not going to get through the winter anyway. So the first day of the spring is they clean them all out, and you see a big bunch of them on the ground down there already.
Yeah.
Then I come in and clean out the rest of them, which is not pretty, so I usually do this before the class season starts.
So is this your first peek at this hive?
This is the first tear down of the hive, yeah.
All right, so we found the queen right there at that little green dot.
Oh my goodness!
A cockroach.
Oh my
Get
goodness.
him!
Yeah, I better show you some more cockroaches.
So this hive is good. She's got her queen. Now we
Yeah,
just gotta get the varroa treated,
got-
and
They can really hide, boy.
Yeah, and I just want, they got plenty of nectar here, my goodness.
that's a good sign.
I just want her to get busy laying.
Yes. Yes, she needs to start laying
She's
some
got
eggs.
cat brood, but I don't see. Because in a normal hive configuration, I see they're bringing pollen in. And the puff just means here we come. It's pretty dark in the beehive most of the time with everything closed up. So when you take the lid off like this, it's like you're being in a movie theater and somebody lifts the roof off. It ain't better than we would if somebody did that. You know? So they find their way around for the most part by scent.
You just need a little smoke and it acts that quickly.
Yeah, just a little smoke. Look what these did. See, I've never seen this before. They chewed through.
The bees chewed through?
Yeah, they chewed through the cover.
A long haul.
So this board here is usually taken off. I put it on the.
See you, John.
Bye, everybody.
See you, Mr. Menke.
So the bees actually chewed right through
I've never
that.
seen them chew through it before. Or why? But this board is put on in the winter because as the bees eat the honey to stay warm, they generate lots of heat and they generate lots of moisture. And because of the cold temperatures outside, that moisture can go up to the top where it can condense and drip back down on the bees and can kill them from exposure. So this helps to absorb the moisture. It'll come up through this hole on the hive and then it hits this board and this helps to absorb it. So it's called a moisture board. A very original name. And so these bees are probably up here
I can see them through that hole.
in this box eating away. I gave them all the, put the sugar cake on, and they've been eating on it pretty good. And when they run out of that, they start eating the sugar that's left over. So if I didn't have sugar on here, they probably would have starved by now.
They ate a lot of that sugar.
You make it yourself?
Yeah, we made
Yeah,
these
sure.
last year.
Yeah, we made it with the class there. And stuck it on there. They would made it just for this, right?
Yep.
So a little bit of honey left over from last year.
Very nice.
And see this, when we come back in with count frames, I mean, this is a lot of bees.
Yeah, for spring
Wow,
especially.
look at them all.
Yeah. So this is the bottom
My
box.
goodness.
Look at them all.
Look, yeah, that's good. So this is the bottom box, and this is pretty well packed with bees for it being so early.
Sure is. So what I'm going to do is, honey, we can put one of the strips in the middle of this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to make this one the bottom, put this one in the middle, and leave them that way.
All right, guys, I just wanted to take a quick second to kind of explain the difference between our vertical hives back here and our horizontal, what we call a top bar hive over here. Here is more of a horizontal style and here is more of a vertical style, or I should say this is a horizontal style and that is a vertical style. And this horizontal style is typically the way it's always been done. It's still done this way by most hobbyists. The reason you start to see a lot of people, even hobbyists, have these vertical hives is because they're just more readily available. There's more of them out there. Most of the time people are building these themselves. What I will say is the advantage to this is it's easier, a lot easier. Vertical hives were pretty much solely designed for commercial beekeeping. It allowed the beekeepers to load these hives up on semi-trailers and transport them across country to California and to all these different areas. So that's the use for these vertical hives. They're really easy to load on trucks, they save a lot of space, but every time you want to access a comb at the bottom, you have to lift all the other boxes off the top, and they can be really heavy, sometimes up to 60, 80 pounds, depending on how much honey is in them. So if you're you know, an older person, or if you're a weaker person, I'm not the strongest guy, these are a lot easier to work with. You can access all of the combs right here, right just by opening the lid, and everything's there for you. So these are a lot easier to manage and a lot easier to work with, but they are also less efficient to transport. So those are kind of the brief differences between the vertical hives we have here and our top bar hive we have here. This is the only hive that unfortunately didn't make it through the winter. Now that's not saying anything about the design, it's just I think these ones were a little better insulated over the winter, and it got, you know, our winters get pretty cold up here. We have -20, -30 degrees, and the bees have to keep their hives at 80-some, 90-some degrees. I don't know the exact temperature, I forget, doesn't matter. Either way, this is our only hive that didn't make it through this year, but you can see, I'll show you here in a second, there's bees that are actually robbing it. So they're taking out the resources from what was in this hive previously and transporting it back to their hives over here. So, all right, let's get into it. You guys can see here, this top bar hive that I'm looking at, let me zoom out a little bit. This one didn't make it through the winter, but we can see bees going in and out of it. Not a lot, but these bees are actually taking the resources from what was in this hive previously, and they're transporting it over to their hives over there. So this is our top bar hive here. So this is actually made all by the bees. Where on the vertical hives, the slots that we have in there there's a plastic frame, and then the bees build upon that. This here is all natural bee comb that the bees made themselves. Oh yeah. Right here, bud. Put your finger right in there.
Oh, that is raw.
Taste it now.
Give it a taste. That's honey there.
That's
It's
raw,
honey.
perfect honey.
Neat.
Oh, it tastes so good.
Yeah.
It's as good as he gets.
That's where they're coming in to rob all
You
this.
see all that there?
So you eat the honey.
It's all nice, beautiful honey. Oh, I just I just tried to put it in my mouth and I smacked myself in
That's
the
what I did. This one here actually, feel how light that is.
It's like nothing.
And it'd probably be lighter, but that's all solid honey there.
Oh, that's so good. Yum, yum.
Incredible.
You can just take a big chunk of that, chew it up, you know, the honey in it, and then spit out the wax.
Spit the wax out, yep.
You know?
Wow.
All right, so this is super light too. God, it's beautiful, isn't it? This is all natural comb here. You'll see when the bees do this naturally, they design them a bit differently because they make room for the drones, the male bees, which need bigger cells, which is why on these vertical hives over here, they're pre-made with the plastic frame, so you'll see little cups on the bottom because they're not big enough for the drones, but with these, the bees can make their own sizes.
Came off
You want some honey?
Glue. Propolis.
So good. Oh, it did break up.
This is the one that broke off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can probably take that straw out of there. And
Oh,
so,
good. And then they build that whole thing up.
then when you want to lift it up, you turn it on a plane.
Pull that straw out of the chair, is that what you said?
Yes. Yep. Or else, reach in it and pinch on the comb. So this is put in as just part of the insulation in the winter to try to give them a little buffer from all this cold back here.
So this was a live hive last fall.
Yeah. So the bees were all up on that end. And so we covered this with straw to give it some insulation back here on this side. Yeah, we'll load it up. So good. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's beekeeping adventure. we kind of just opened up the hives for the first time after the winter. We went through the 4 hives that survived. All of them actually survived except for this top bar hive here. We kind of went over the differences between the two. Both are great options. It just kind of comes down to what you're trying to do. So with the 4 hives, we rotated some of the boxes. We also checked for a queen in one of them. The second hive that we looked at, we didn't actually find the queen, but it was okay because we found capped larvae, which means the queen was laying eggs. So that's a good sign too. So there's a queen in that box. The other 2 we didn't get a chance to open up yet, so we'll do that again in the next video. We also went and treated for varroa mites today. One of the biggest threats, if not the biggest threat to the bees in our environment is the varroa mite parasite, varroa destructor parasite. So we went in and we treated for those just to make sure that they don't go out of control. It's really hard to not have any, but that can really destroy a hive if the varroa mites get out of control. So we started treating for those today early on. If I had to give you my personal opinion, I think the bees are doing awesome. I think we're having a great jump start to the season. Last year we had to start from scratch. We didn't end up getting any honey last year because we had to leave it all for the bees, which was very important, and that's part of the reason they survived. But yeah, so the bees are off. They're already getting nectar. They're already getting pollen. It's the beginning of April. We could still get snow. I mean, really. So it's a great start to the year. I'm super excited. But yeah, so a little sneak peek into the bee yard, into the bee class, into what beekeeping is all about. Nobody here today got stung. The bees are super docile, and for the most part, the last thing they want to do is sting you. So please don't be afraid of bees. They do a lot for our environment, for our planets, and they're fantastic, and they have honey, right? Who doesn't like honey? I mean, I love honey. Honey's great. It's great for you. I'm not going to get on a rant about honey, but regardless, so I really appreciate you guys joining me today. Stay tuned, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications, please. Join me on my YouTube adventure. It's just getting started, but I have a lot of great things coming up. Hope you have a great day. Love you guys. Peace.